This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have the chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. Pause. At the end, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1. In this part, you will hear a telephonic conversation, and based on that you will get 10 questions. First, you have some time to read questions 1 to 6. Now listen and answer questions 1 to 6.
Hello, Paintbox Art Supplies and Studio. This is Evelyn speaking. How may I assist you today?
Hi, my name is Peter Hughes. I saw a poster about your weekend pottery workshops, and I'd like to get some information. Is this the right place?
Absolutely, Peter. I'd be happy to tell you all about our workshops. Are you a beginner or have you done pottery before?
I'm a complete beginner. I've always wanted to try pottery, but never had the chance. I thought a weekend class would be a great place to start.
You're in good company. Most of our participants are trying pottery for the first time. Our next beginners workshop is running next Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. both days. It's a hands-on session where you'll learn the basics of hand building and wheel throwing.
That sounds perfect. How many people are usually in a group?
We keep our classes small, usually no more than 8 participants, so everyone gets personal attention from the instructor.
Who teaches the class?
The instructor is Linda Martinez, who has over 15 years' experience in pottery and ceramics. She's very patient and makes the workshop fun and relaxed.
I'm glad to hear that. What's included in the workshop fee?
The fee is £60 for the whole weekend, which covers instruction, all materials, clay, and firing costs. You'll get to make 2 or 3 pieces, and we'll fire them in our studio kiln. You can collect your finished work about 10 days later.
That's reasonable. Is any special equipment required?
No, we provide everything you'll need: aprons, tools, and plenty of clay. Just wear old clothes you don't mind getting messy, and bring a hair tie if you have long hair.
Understood. Can I register online or do I need to come to the store?
You can do either, but most people find it easier to register on our website. There's a registration form, and payment can be made by card. Once you register, we'll email you all the details and a reminder before the class.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Is there a cancellation policy in case something comes up?
Yes, if you let us know at least 48 hours in advance, we'll refund your fee in full or transfer you to a future workshop. After that, the fee is non-refundable.
Do you offer any workshops for children? My niece is very interested in arts and crafts.
Yes, we run a Saturday morning pottery class for children aged 7 to 12. It's from 9 to 10:30 a.m. every week. All instructors are fully DBS checked and experienced working with kids.
That's fantastic. What about accessibility? My friend uses a wheelchair and might like to join too.
The studio is fully wheelchair accessible, with a ramp at the entrance and accessible restrooms. Just let us know when booking, and we'll make sure to set up a comfortable space.
Great. Is parking available near the store?
Yes, there's a public car park just across the road, and parking is free on weekends.
Will I need to collect my pottery myself, or can it be posted?
You're welcome to collect your items during shop hours, or we can post them for an extra £7.50 to cover packing and postage.
That's convenient. Last question. Do you offer gift vouchers for the workshops?
Absolutely. Gift vouchers are available in any amount and can be purchased in store or online. They make great presents for birthdays or holidays.
Thanks so much for all the information, Evelyn. I'll register online later today.
You're very welcome, Peter. We look forward to seeing you at the workshop. If you have any questions before then, just give us a call or send an email to info@paintboxart.co.uk.
Will do. Have a great day.
You too. Goodbye.
That is the end of part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers. Part 2. In this part, you will hear a monologue. A person is giving an orientation to a group of people. First, you have some time to read questions 11 to 15. Listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 15.
Hello everyone. It's so great to see so many enthusiastic faces here today for the opening of the Chestnut Grove Community Garden Project. My name's Harriet, and I'm one of the lead coordinators working alongside the local council and several nonprofit groups focused on sustainability and urban greening. Today, I'll take you through everything you need to know about how the project operates, what you can get involved in, and how to make the most of your time volunteering here. I'll also highlight where to go if you want support or wish to take on more responsibility in the future. Let's start with a little background. This land, as some of you may know, used to be part of a disused lot behind an old post office. For years, it remained locked up and overgrown until a group of residents proposed turning it into a shared green space. Thanks to several rounds of funding and a lot of volunteer labor, we were finally able to open the space to the public just 2 weeks ago. The garden spans nearly some 200 square meters, and it's been divided into 5 main zones. First, we have the vegetable terrace, which is where we grow seasonal vegetables like kale, carrots, tomatoes, and beans. It's a mix of raised beds and ground plots, and we rotate crops every season to keep the soil healthy. Adjacent to that is the native plants patch, which is primarily for local flora such as wildflowers, native grasses, and herbs. This zone is especially important for pollinators like bees and butterflies, and has already started attracting wildlife, including a small colony of garden lizards. Then we've got the composting corner. This section teaches people how to compost kitchen and garden waste effectively. It includes 3 types of compost bins, cold, hot, and worm, and it's where we process organic matter from all over the site. Behind the tool shed, you'll find the Children's Discovery Area, which includes sensory paths, mini greenhouses, and a small pond. This is where we run our weekend nature workshops for families. And finally, we have the Community Pavilion, a sheltered space used for meetings, lunch breaks, and educational talks. It's solar-powered and built using entirely reclaimed materials.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 16 to 20. Now, listen and answer questions 16 to 20.
Now, let's talk about volunteering. We operate on a flexible schedule, so you're welcome to join on weekdays, weekends, or just once a month, whatever works for you. Tasks range from planting and weeding to compost turning and educational support. For safety, all volunteers must attend an induction session, which includes basic training in tool use, first aid awareness, and ecological practices.
Tools and gloves are provided, but you're welcome to bring your own. Just make sure everything's labeled. We also recommend wearing sturdy footwear and bringing water, especially during the warmer months. We track hours contributed by each volunteer, not to keep tabs, but because we offer small rewards to thank those who hit milestones. For example, those who complete over 40 hours receive a certificate of recognition, and those who reach 100 hours are invited to join our advisory panel to help plan next year's layout. We also run a seed sharing program, which you can take part in even if you're not here every week. The seed bank is located in the shed, and you're free to take what you need as long as you log it in the register. Let me quickly mention our local partnerships because these really shape what we're able to offer. We work closely with the Windermere Technical College, whose horticulture students do placements here every spring. We also have ties with Growwell Organic Supplies, who donate soil and mulch monthly. The health center down the road sends patients as part of their Wellness Walks program, and our latest partnership is with Story Sprout, a literacy charity that holds seasonal storytelling sessions in the pavilion. Of course, everything we do depends on community participation. So whether you're interested in planting, teaching, or even helping with administrative work like grant writing, there's a place for you here. Before I finish, I'd like to introduce you to a few key members of our team who will be around the site today. Feel free to ask them questions, join in their demonstrations, or just say hello.
That is the end of part 2. You have half a minute to check your answers. Part 3. Part 3 is an academic discussion between a student and a professor, or between two students. You need to listen to their conversation and answer questions based on that. First, you now have some time to read questions 21 to 25. Now, listen and answer questions 21 to 25.
Good morning, Ravi. I had a chance to review your initial draft on the relationship between sleep and academic performance. You've picked an interesting topic. How did you settle on it?
Morning, Dr. Chen. It started when I was struggling with balancing late-night study sessions and early morning lectures. I started reading more about sleep cycles and how they affect memory and concentration. The topic felt really relevant, not just personally, but also for the student population in general.
That's a good reason. The research on this has certainly gained momentum over the last decade. What's your central research question?
I'm exploring how variations in sleep duration and sleep quality influence cognitive functions, particularly short-term memory and focus in undergraduate students. I want to see whether there's a direct correlation between academic performance, measured through grades, and sleep habits.
Great. Have you defined your key variables?
Yes. For sleep, I'm using both self-reported sleep logs and smartwatch data from volunteers. I'm categorizing sleep quality based on consistency, interruptions, and sleep duration. For academic performance, I'm using GPA as a primary indicator, but I'm also including short weekly memory quizzes during the study period.
That adds depth. Just remember that GPA might be affected by many external variables. Make sure you acknowledge that.
I will. I've included a section on confounding variables like caffeine intake, stress levels, part-time work hours, and even screen time before bed.
Very thorough. What's your sample size?
I've got 40 volunteers so far, 20 male and 20 female students across different departments. Ideally, I'd like to get to 60, but recruitment is moving slower than I expected.
That's still a good number. And you're monitoring them for how long?
6 weeks. Each participant fills out a daily log and wears a basic sleep tracker. I also conduct a weekly check-in to ensure they're maintaining consistency and to collect the data.
Good. Are you using any statistical software for the analysis?
I'm using SPSS to look for correlations and possible regression patterns. I've already done some preliminary analysis from the pilot study I ran last semester.
That's helpful. What did you find in the pilot?
There seemed to be a moderate positive correlation between students who had consistent 7 to 8 hours of sleep and those who scored higher on memory tests. Interestingly, students who slept too much, over 9 hours, didn't necessarily perform better.
That aligns with existing research. Sometimes excessive sleep can also signal underlying health or stress-related issues.
That's why I'm including a well-being questionnaire as well, to help interpret anomalies.
Excellent. Are you planning to compare across age groups?
No, I decided to stick with undergraduates aged 18 to 22 to control for age-related variation in sleep needs.
Wise move. Keep the scope manageable. And the literature review?
I've covered studies from the last 10 years, focusing on both biological sleep research and behavioral patterns. I also included some neuroscience findings about REM sleep and memory consolidation.
Sounds comprehensive. Remember to keep your language accessible during the presentation.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to read questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
Speaking of which, your presentation is coming up soon, right?
Yes, I'm presenting next Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. I believe the presentations are 12 minutes long.
Correct. Plus 3 minutes for questions. Have you started preparing it?
Yes, I have a draft outline. I'm opening with a short anecdote about a student who pulled all-nighters before exams, and then showing a chart on how sleep deprivation impacts attention span.
That's an engaging start. What about your visual aids?
I've designed 8 slides: intro, methods, data snapshots, and 2 charts showing early trends. I'm also including a short animated infographic comparing brain activity in sleep versus wakefulness.
Sounds engaging, but don't let the animation run too long. How long is it?
About 45 seconds. I've tested it already and it works smoothly on the university computer.
Good. And when are you submitting your final slides?
The portal says Tuesday by 5 p.m. I'll upload them Monday afternoon just to be safe.
Smart thinking. Are you using cue cards?
Just bullet points. No full script. I want to keep it natural.
Great approach. I'm looking forward to it, Ravi.
Thanks, Dr. Chen. I appreciate your support.
That is the end of part 3. Now you have 30 seconds to check your answers. Part 4. This part is a monologue where a person gives a seminar on a topic. You need to listen and answer all the questions at once. First, you have some time to read questions 31 to 40. Now, listen and answer questions 31 to 40.
Okay, everyone. Today's lecture takes us into the world of color psychology, especially its application in design and marketing. You might not realize it, but the colors you see every day, on product packaging, in advertisements, even on websites, are chosen with great care, and not just for aesthetic reasons. These choices often aim to influence emotions and behavior, sometimes subtly, sometimes quite directly. Let's start by unpacking the concept of color psychology. At its core, it's the study of how different hues affect perception and decision-making. Now, while there's some debate in the scientific community about the universality of color responses, especially across cultures, there is also a growing body of evidence that suggests certain colors tend to evoke consistent associations. Take red, for instance. It's commonly linked with urgency, passion, and attention. That's why you'll often see it used in clearance sales or on buttons that say "Buy Now." Red triggers an immediate response, possibly because of its evolutionary connection to blood and danger. But in the context of branding, it's also stimulating. Fast food companies like McDonald's and KFC have used red to increase appetite and impulsive behavior. In contrast, blue is seen as calming, trustworthy, and secure. It's no coincidence that many financial institutions, banks, investment firms, insurance companies prefer blue in their logos and websites. Psychologically, blue can convey stability and dependability, making it a perfect choice for brands that want to earn long-term trust. Yellow, on the other hand, is often associated with happiness, energy, and warmth. It grabs attention too, but not in the same aggressive way as red. Yellow is often used to convey optimism. However, it can also be overwhelming in large amounts and may cause eye fatigue, so designers tend to use it as an accent rather than a dominant color. Now let's touch on green. In many Western contexts, green implies nature, freshness, and growth. It's widely used by eco-friendly brands or health-related products. What's interesting is that green also has a calming effect, similar to blue, but adds a layer of natural reassurance. Supermarkets sometimes use green to make produce areas feel more organic and trustworthy. Moving on, black is typically linked with luxury, sophistication, and elegance. Think of high-end fashion brands. Chanel, Prada, Gucci, all heavily incorporate black in their designs. It gives a sense of exclusivity. But context matters. Black can also be associated with mourning or negativity, especially in certain cultures. Let's not forget white, which represents simplicity, cleanliness, and purity. In product packaging, white space often suggests minimalism and is widely used in tech brands, Apple being the most famous example. On websites, generous white space helps direct focus and improve readability. An often overlooked area of color psychology is the impact of color contrast and combinations. For example, pairing complementary colors, those opposite on the color wheel, can create visual tension that makes elements stand out. Orange and blue, or purple and yellow, are often used in sports branding for this reason. The idea is to attract attention without overwhelming the viewer. Now, beyond perception, color influences actual consumer behavior. Research shows that nearly 85% of shoppers cite color as a primary reason for buying a product. What's more, color can affect brand recognition by up to 80%, meaning that consistent use of color is a key element in brand identity. But here's where things get more nuanced. Cultural context can change everything. For example, while white symbolizes purity in Western countries, in many East Asian cultures, it's a color of mourning. Red, which we discussed earlier as exciting and urgent, is actually considered lucky in Chinese tradition, especially during celebrations like Lunar New Year. That's why international brands need to adapt their color strategies to local markets. In digital spaces, color is now integral to user experience or UX design. Designers use color not just to make a site attractive, but to guide user behavior. For instance, a call to action button in a bold color, like orange or green, can increase conversion rates. But this only works if the rest of the color scheme allows that button to stand out. Too much color or poorly chosen combinations can create cognitive overload and reduce engagement. Finally, color plays a strong role in memory recall. Products or brands that use unique and emotionally resonant color schemes are more likely to be remembered. It's part of why companies invest so much in color testing, running A/B tests to see which color palettes yield higher engagement or sales. To wrap up, while it may seem like a matter of taste or style, color choices in design and marketing are deeply strategic. They're crafted not only to appeal visually, but also to influence how we feel, behave, and even what we buy.
That is the end of part 4. You have now 30 seconds to check your answers. You have now 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet.